Hello everyone, welcome back for another production tutorial. In this one we're going to be talking about how to tune your kick and your snare so that it fits in the same key as your song. In the previous video I was talking about how to find the key of a song within Ableton Live for your melody, and if you haven't seen that video, I'll leave a link up above and down below so that you can check that out before you watch this one. So what we're gonna do in this one is we're gonna find, I've pulled in a melody, right? I've pulled in a melody loop. This is the same loop that I used in the other video to show you how to find the key. And just a quick recap, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull up a Spectrum analyzer from Ableton Live. It's stock right there, Spectrum. And it looks like this. We're gonna open the window up all the way and we're gonna go, boom, that's the first chord, right? We just played the first chord of the sample. And we're going to go and we're going to find the key, which is one of the peaks in the Spectrum Analyzer, which is right here. So we found a G, also a G. This is the triad chord. This is the first note of the triad chord, which is a G, and we also have the octave down as a G. So we're going to assume that this sample is in G, which I know because I made it, and it's in G minor. Okay, to move on with the drum part. So what we're going to do is I've already pulled up a couple samples, and we're going to listen to this drum pattern first, okay? Okay, so it sounds decent, but if you tune your drums, this is going to make it that much better. This almost makes or breaks the song, because what repeats more than like your drums in a song, right? It's playing over like kick, snare, kick, snare. It's going to play, you're going to hear it over and over, and if this is not tune to the same key that your melody is in, something is going to sound off and you're not going to understand why. This is very important, so please tune your drums. I'm going to show you how right now. Okay, so if we look at our kick and our snare sample, let's start with the snare first. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to pull in a Spectrum analyzer from Ableton Live and pull it into this track. And if we open that up, drums are easy to find the key of because the highest peak in the Spectrum is normally going to be the key of the snare, because that's the most prominent, right? So let's just hover our mouse right over this, and it looks like the peak is an F sharp, right? So our snare is an F sharp, and we can clarify right here because Cymatics, shout out to them, they have great samples, check them out, and in this sample, they have already labeled it for us, F sharp, and those are very helpful when people label the samples. So if you ever make samples, please label them. Anyways, so F sharp is what we have for this sample in our snare. But knowing that our key is in G, I know that F sharp is not in that same key because it is the note right behind G. It goes F sharp and then G. So if you don't know music theory, it might be a little bit more difficult, so I suggest you learn the basics of it. But anyways, you can always look it up online to see what notes are in whatever key you're looking for, and in this case, we're trying to tune everything to the key of G. We know that it goes F sharp and then G, right? So we're going to transpose this up one semitone. So there's 12 semitones, right? There's 12 notes on your keyboard. It goes C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and then it starts over to the next octave. That's how the keyboard works. That's how music works. If we know that G is the next note up from F sharp, we're only going to transpose it up one. So this is how it was originally. Now we move it up one semitone. So now we've tuned it to being G, right? This is the peak, and we're at G. Okay, so let me move this back down again. This is the original sample. Up one. So we've just tuned that slightly, but now it fits in the song so much better because it works within the scale of the song. Okay, so now our snare is tuned. We're going to do the exact same thing with our kick drum. We're going to pull in the Spectrum analyzer, open it up, hit play. There we go. That's our peak right there, right? So we know that this kick drum is tuned to B. If you don't know music theory, you can look this up on the internet and see what notes fall under the key of G, because that's what we're tuning it to right now, right? And we know that B does not fall under that category. So what we're going to do is we're going to tune our kick drum to the closest note that falls under the scale of G minor. In this case, B is kind of far away from G. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, we'd have to go 4 semitones down to get from a B to a G. So let's do that real quick. And if you notice, we've tuned it kind of far, so it sounds a little bit altered and different from the original sample. This is the original one more time. So since the G is too far away, usually we just want to transpose like a couple semitones, positive or negative, or else it starts altering the sample more than we want, unless that's what you're going for. But in this case, 4 down is a bit drastic. So what we're going to do is we're going to find out a note that falls under that same scale of G minor. And I know for sure that the closest one is going to be A sharp in this case. Okay, so A sharp is only 1 semitone away from the B. It's just 1 down. We're going to go with that, and that is the 3rd note in the key of G minor, okay? So let's use that. We're going to tune it down 1. And if you look now, if you check now, we're in an A sharp, right? We just tuned it down 1, and now we're from a B to an A sharp. And already we're sounding so much better. We're sounding like we're all in tune, and we're within that same key as the melody. Okay, so this, please do this with your drums, because this is going to make the world of difference in your production. Another thing is how I was talking about tuning to the root note earlier. Like we'd have to go 4 steps down to get from a B to a G, right? So say your kick drum is tuned to a G, which is the root note. If you tune everything to the root note, say you have an 808 on top of that kick, right? They're both low frequencies. It's going to start clashing if you have everything tuned to one single note. So if your kick and your 808 is tuned to G, it's going to be a little bit complicated, and it's going to start fighting a little bit. So something you can do is, like in this case, I've tuned the kick to A sharp, which is the 3rd note in the key of G, right? So that means we can start using the G note for our 808, and it's going to sound like it's a harmonic, and it's not going to collide as much. Okay? So I hope this has helped. If you have any questions or found this confusing at all, please feel free to reach out to me. You can email me at wav.formation@gmail.com. I hope this was helpful. Hope to see you in the next one. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you later. Peace.